Hello friends, in this video we'll be looking at designing this cinema app. We have two pages. We have a first page showing the list of tickets, and the second page is showing the details, showing the seats that you've already booked. So you can see we have available seats, reserved seats, and we have your seats. So these are the color indicators showing what these seats represent. Alright, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing now so that you will not miss interesting videos like this. We upload videos every Monday and sometimes on Fridays. Alright, without wasting time, let's get started. So I have Visual Studio 2019 open here. I've already created a project and I call it Cinema Hub. So the first thing I'm going to do is to make sure that the nuggets are updated. So I'm going to be sure that I have Xamarin.Forms 4.7 installed. I want to install this 4.7 version, and I'm going to install this, accept all the license. Then once this is done, I also want to install a plugin, the SkiaSharp plugin. So let's search for Skia. So I'm going to install this second one, SkiaSharp.views.forms. I'm going to select it in install it in all the folder, all the projects. I'm going to install this, accept the terms, and let it install. Okay, so now that this is successfully installed, let's continue with our work. So the first thing we want to do is to set some things in our code behind. The first thing before we forget is to set the binding context of this page. We'll set it to itself. We are not making use of view model in this project. We'll be just working with pages. Alright, so the next thing is we need a class that's going to hold our tickets. So the class is going to be an embedded class. I'm going to put it right here. So we have four properties. We have the movie title, the showing date, the image, and the seats. This is an array of ints showing the number of seats that we have. Alright, so next is to have two properties. I want to have two properties right in this page, just after the constructor. So the first one is an observable collection of tickets, and this is what we are going to be binding to our collection view. And this other property is going to undo the selected ticket for us. Alright, and lastly, before we leave this place, we are still going to come back. We need a method that's going to simulate our data. So we need to have this method just returning collection of data right here. And in order to bind this data at the constructor level, we want to set this data that's coming from this method to our tickets. So you're going to say tickets equals get tickets like this. Alright, so I'm going to run this so that we can make use of auto reload and when we are designing the view itself. So I'll go to the main page here, main page 𝐦𝐨𝐬𝐬 to see what we have. So we have a default welcome to Xamarin.Forms here. So the first thing I'm going to do is to remove this part and start with a grid. I'm going to start with a grid here. Okay, so all our content is going to go into this grid. But before I continue now, checking our design, you see that we have a background color of this. So I'm going to set the background color first, and from there we can now continue. Okay, so I'm going to set the background color to this color, and okay, so there is something I want us to quickly do so I will not run into problem later on, and that is setting the main page, our main page, to a navigation page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel this build process, and I'm going to because I need to work with the code behind. Okay, so I have cancelled this build process. I've cancelled this build process, and let's go to our main page, our app.xamarin.cs. Two things we're going to do. The first one is to set the flag for our shapes because it's still in experimental. So we're going to do device.set flag, because the Xamarin.Forms shapes is still in experimentals at this time, so we have to set flags, and we're going to set this to a new array of string, and here we're going to set the shapes underscore experimental. All right, and this, and also here we're going to set this to a new navigation page, so that you can navigate from one page to the other, since we are using a navigation page. Okay, so this is finally done here. We can run this now so that we can make use of the auto reload to see our page as we design it. Alright, so as that is currently loading, what I want to do also here is now to set the navigation page and remove the navigation bar as navigation bar, and set this to false. Okay, so looking at our design here, this is very simple. We're going to have two rows. The first row is going to take this, and the second row is going to take this part. So we have a grid that is set to two rows. So let me just show you what we're going to do. So this grid, we're going to set it to two rows. So we have, so this is all our main page. We have a grid set to two rows. We have a padding and a row spacing. Then right in the first row, we have this text that has this color and this property. Then we have a stack layout. In that stack layout, we have a label called your tickets, and we have a collection view. This collection view, we are binding it to our tickets property from this code. So this is this tickets, and the selection item, we are passing it to the selected item here, this selected tickets, you can see, and we are we want to handle the ticket selected here. So when the ticket is selected, this is the point when we want to go to the next page. Okay, so I'm going to save this now so we can see what we have with this page. So there's this unsupported edit. I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to run this again so that we can see how it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to run this again and see what we have before we continue. Okay, so we're running our project now. Let's see what we have here. It's currently loading. Let's wait for it to load. So if you're able to see items on our page, because we've already done the binding, the code behind. Okay, so as you can see, we have this is looking more like our design. One thing is left that I forgot to do, that is to put our assets in the respective folders here. So I'm going to quickly do that now. Go to where my assets is, and just copy and come to drawable and paste right here. So once I have this, then we should be able to see our view looking exactly the way we want it to be. Okay, so we have this now. So if I run this again, we should be able to see our items. Okay, so as you can see, we have our list of tickets here. If I click on any of these, nothing is happening, so we have to handle that next. So in order to do that, first need to create another page, which is going to be our seats page. So we're going to add a new item, and we're going to add a content page. Let's call it seats page. And this seats page, in the code behind, we want to pass in the ticket that is selected. So we're going to pass in, let's say ticket, and let's call it ticket. And right inside here, inside this page, you need a property called tickets. It's called selected ticket. And so let's create what we call selected tickets, and in the constructor we're going to pass in the selected ticket, the ticket to the selected ticket, and then do set the binding for this page, so set it to itself. All right, so now that we have this in our main page.xaml.cs, we already want to undo the ticket selected, and at this point in time what we want to do is we want to check if the selected item is not null. If it's not null, then we want to get this we want to navigate to the seats page, and then pass in the selected tickets. All right, so I'm going to run this. We should see we will not see any item. We should see welcome to Xamarin.Forms here, but at least we'll be able to continue with our design. All right, so while this is currently loading, let's continue the design of our page. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove this default content, and also set the navigation page as navigation bar, set it to false. Then we also need to set the background color, so we're going to use the same background color here. So let's copy this here. So if I save, okay, this is going to reload. So if I click on any item here, this is now the details, the seats page. So we have it here. Let's continue our design. We should be seeing our items right there. So checking our prototype, we want to make use of 3 rows. So this is the first row, this is the second row, and this is the third row. Once you use this, this will be the third row. So this is going to be auto, and this can take the rest of the space. All right, so we're going to have that grid. Let's go to our Visual Studio. We're going to have that grid, and that grid, we're going to now have the first item in the row. That is what is defining this. So we have a stack layout stacking horizontally. Inside that we have an image. Then we have another stack layout here going vertically. We have this label. So we have another stack layout stacking this horizontally. So that is what we're going to have. I'm going to show you now in the first row. So this is what we have. We have a stack layout. We have the image. We have another stack layout with the title. Then we have this stack layout showing this date and the time. So I'm going to save this now. We should be able to see an item because we're already binding this in the code. Selected ticket.image, selected ticket.movie title, selected ticket.showing date with this format, and the showing date with this time format. So we have that. Then the next thing we are going to have same is the horizontal line. So we have this horizontal line. So after this, so right after this stack layout, in that same grid, we're going to have this horizontal line box view. Height request is 1. Set it to end. We save this. We have our box view. Then now we want to have a stack layout. This stack layout is going to be in the second row. So after here, we have a stack layout. It's going to be in the second row, as you can see. Grid.row 1. Then in this stack layout, the first thing we need is a path, and that path is what's going to define this curve. So this is how I got the path. I exported this as SVG and then open it with a notepad in order to see the value. So that is how to get the path. I think I still have it here. So this is the path here. So this, you can see screen. This is an SVG. So I just copied this value and I pasted it in this code. So that is what I will show you now. So the first thing we need to do here is to have a path, and that path will have a height of 30, and this is the data that I just showed you in the notepad. So don't forget, any SVG, you can open it in notepad and copy the D part. So starting from this D here, from this D here to this place. Alright, so I'm going to save this. Then we should see our curved screen showing. Then the next thing is to make use of the SkiaSharp. We want to make use of the SkiaSharp to build all these items, all these rows that we have here. Let me see, all these rows. I'm going to make use of SkiaSharp to do this. So I'm going to add a SkiaSharp to our project, the canvas right here. So don't forget, it's a stack layout. I'm going to resolve this namespace to bring out the SkiaSharp, and this is going to go to this surface. So I'm going to remove this first so that we're able to continue with our design. So let's save. We still have our page. So let's continue. So the next thing is now a box view showing the line after the list of seats. So this is the line, this same box view. So you can see we are coming down right here, and next to it is what is showing the type of seats that we have, if it is available. So you can see we have a stack layout here. Let me undo this. We need a stack layout, and this stack layout, starting from here to this place, is showing this is the available, the reserved, and this is what's showing your seats. So I'm going to save this. So you can see we have that. And lastly, outside this stack layout, in the third row of this grid, we need the button. So that's the button that is showing you to buy more tickets. So it is going to be in the third row. Say buy more tickets, has a width and all this property. We set it to hand. Let's save this now. So we have a button here. This is collapsing. Okay, so so now that we have this like this, we can put this in a scroll view so that we're able to scroll this item. So our main grid can be in a scroll view. So let's quickly fix that. Let's do Ctrl+K, S, and snippet. Let's select the tag and convert this to a scroll view. Let's save. So now you see that we can scroll. We can see all our items very well. Okay. So now that we have this, the last thing we want to do is down to set up our seat number, which is the main thing in this design. So I'm going to stop this. Okay, so I'll go to our before I go there, let's set the paint surface here, and we're going to set it to let's undo the paint surface event, and we're setting it to this paint sk canvas underscore paint surface view. So let's go to the definition of this. So right inside here, this is where we're going to undo the painting of our items. Okay, so before we start, we need to do some initialization right up here. So we need data to work with, and we're going to make use of dictionary. So I'm going to call that data. So a dictionary of int. So the key is going to be int, the value is going to be int. So this key is going to be from 1 to 120. That is the total number of seats, and this other value is going to be showing. We are going to use it to control if it is available, if it is reserved, or if it is your seat. Okay. So and before we leave this place, let's also declare some paints. We need to use some paints to draw all our items. So for SkiaSharp, you have to make use of SK paints. So I have about 4 paints here. I'm going to resolve this. So the first one is available paint, and the style is this, stroke, just stroke, and this is the color. The next one is reserved paint. The third one is your seat paint and the text paint. These are the things we're going to use to draw this this color right here. So this is your available, this is reserved, and this is your seat. So those different colors, that is exactly what we have defined right here. And also to have data to work with, we want to simulate our data. So we want to create a method called init, and in that init we want to randomly add some data to, every time we load this, randomly add some available, reserved, and reserved seats. So we're going to create a random class, and from 0 to less than 120, we want to add to our data. This is our data here, the high value and a random value between 0 and 2. So 2 is not inclusive, so we're going to be having 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. 0 is available, 1 is reserved, 3 is going to be your seat. So that is what we are doing here. We are adding data inside this place. Remember, it is int, so high enters here, then the random number enters this other part. Okay, so and right here we have to call the init. Let's call the init method, so that we'll be able to have all this in our data by the time this constructor is loaded. Okay, so now that we have that, let's create our view. So the first thing we want to do is get hold of our canvas. So save our canvas. Let's call it from the event arg. So this is coming from this event args here. We're getting the surface and the canvas. We want to use this. This is the same canvas that is on our view. We want to just make it of it to draw. Okay, so the next thing is we want our drawing to start from 60 points both left and right, because we want to give some space. Let me just quickly show you. Just want to give a little space at the top here and a little space at the left here from our canvas. So we're going to set that to 60. So we're going to call that X and Y. So X and Y 60. Then the next thing is we want to define the rows that we have. So we want to have a variable to control our rows, all these rows 1 to 10. So even though we're going to start with 0, so let's set it, and we'll set the default value to -1. We're going to be increasing this in our code. Okay, so the next thing is the total number of columns that we have. Checking our prototype, we have 14 columns. If you count from here to here, it's 14. So we want to define that as columns. So columns equals 14. Then our items width and height. So each of these items we have width and height. So we want to make use of 40 device independent pixel. So 40. Then each item also has a margin. If you check, they will have margin in between items. So we want to set the margin to 20. Then the corner radius of our shape, let's set it to 4. So those rectangle that we're going to, those square that we're going to draw, we want to have a corner radius of 4. And lastly, we want to know the number of items to draw. So if you look at this prototype, each row contains different number of items. So this contains 8, this is 10, this is 12, 12, 14, 14, 14, 14, 12, and 10. So once, as we are drawing, we want to be changing the number of items that we're going to draw here. So let's start with item equals 0. Alright, so this is what we want to do. We want to iterate from 0 to the number of seats that we have in our data here, which is 120. So we're going to have for int high less than data.count, which is 120. So what we want to do, check first is if our item is 0, if item equals 0, items if equals 0, want to do something right here, else do something else. Okay, so if our item is 0, the first thing we want to do is to increase the number of rows. So we want to start with row 0. Remember, it is -1 here. We want to increase it to 0. Then the next thing is we need to know the number of items that we are going to use. So I'm going to use a method to get that. And like I said, each let me create this. Each row has different number of items. So each of these row has different number of items. So this is the first row. This is 8. So what we want to do in this method is to set a switch statement and get the items for each of the rows. So we are saying if it is the first row past 8 items, the second and the 10th row has 10 items. The 8th row has 12. The 9th row has. So this is starting from index 0. So don't forget our row starts from 0, just in our code here. So we are using this to control the number of items. So some has 8, some has 10, some has 12, and some has 14. Just like you see in our prototype here. You can count. Okay, so we are using that to get the number of items to draw. And what we now want to do is we want to get the we want to use a variable called count. So that count is what is going to tell us how many numbers of rows to skip here before we start to draw. But here we're going to skip 1, 2, 3 and skip 1, 2, 3 at the left. So here we're going to skip 2, we're going to skip 1 here. We will not skip anything at this space. So we want to use that to create our offset. So in order to do that, we want to use this count. Let's say var count equals total number of columns, which is 14, minus items, which is the item that we are getting from our row. So the first one is 8. So 14 minus 8, that is 6, divided by 2, that is 3. So we know that we're going to go to 3 by the left. And in order to now draw, we need to create an offset, and we are going to make use of this count. So we're going to say our offset equals count times width. So count is 3. So 3 multiplied by our width, which is 40, plus count that times margin. So our margin is 12. So what we're doing is 3. So in the first row now, our count is going to be 3. We're saying 3 multiplied by 12, that is around 36, plus 3 multiplied by 40, that is 120. So we'll add this together. That was going to be our offset. So when we want to draw, we'll go we'll shift in that number to the left before we draw. Okay, so in order to draw, so we want to set our x. Our x is now going to be let's start from 60 plus offset. So this is offset, and our y, our point y, is going to be items width. This is the width, plus items width plus margin, then plus our row, then multiplied by our row. So this is 40 plus 40 plus 12, that is 40 plus 12, that is 52, multiplied by the number of row. So if it is 0, then it's going to just be 40. Our x is going to be 40. If this is 1, it's going to add it all together. Then our else statement, what we are saying is if our item is 0, then that means we are starting from the first item. If not, just add whatever is in the height and margin. Okay, this looks like a lot of maths, but this is what we used to get. You can look at this again critically. All right, so the next thing we want to do is want to get the current. After A, want to get the current item, and whatever want to use it to get our color. Then want to check from our list of seats in this ticket, selected ticket. You know, it's an array. Want to check if there is any of these tickets contains this. If any of our tickets has this expression, for some reason this is string, this is saying a local variable of x is already available. Okay, we want to set our value here. I think it's because there's no, I'm using link. We'll see how to resolve this data. So we're saying if any of these seats contains our high, then we should set our seat index to 2. Don't forget our seat index is actually coming from the value that we have in our data here. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to draw. We want to draw our item. So let's draw. So in a place to draw, what we are doing is we are calling the draw round rect. The draw round rect takes a rect and takes, so this is a rect here, this is a new rect here, and the corner radius for the rect. Then the color, we want to get the color using this method. So let's create this method that's called getColor, and what that is doing is going to get the selected color index and return the proper paint that we want to use. So it's just a very simple switch statement. Get the seat index and use it to return if it is available, if it is reserved, if it is your seat. Okay, so since this is complaining, let's change this to Z, at least just to be safe. Okay, so the last thing, so after drawing, we need to now reduce the count of our items. Don't forget our items here is starting from, it depends on the number of the row that we have. If it is 8 items, 10, 12 and 14. So but at this stage now, after drawing, we want to reduce our item so that we know that it will go back to 0 for us to go to the next row. Alright, so we now also want to check if item equals 0, we want to draw our text. So if item equals 0, we are calling the canvas of draw text. We are passing the current row plus 1. We want to start from 1 to 3, even though our row starts from 0 here. Starting here, it's going to be from 0, but we want our label to start from 1. So, and we are saying that you should draw this text. This is the text you should draw. It should start from here, and this is the y coordinate, the y plus margin. So, we want it to be at the center of, just like we are saying here. We want it to be at the center of this square. So, and the height of this square is 20. So, the height divided by 2, that is 10, plus the margin that we have here. So we need to put that into consideration. So that is what we are doing in this place. So that we have the y plus margin plus this height divided by 2, and the color that I want to use is this paint. All right. So if you run this now, we should be able to see our seats arrangement. So let's see what we have. It's currently loading. Okay, so we have our list of tickets. So we click on Let's click on 1. So you can see for telnet, these are all our available seats. If you look, let me show you in our main page. So for telnet, we have seat number 12, 25 and 35. So this is 12, 25, 35. So let's go back. Let's select this first one. So for this ticket, that is Bad Boys for Live, we have seat number 61, 62, 63. So as you can see, these are your seats. Alright guys, thank you for sticking to the end. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to share it on Facebook, Twitter and all of that social media platform. Or if you are yet to subscribe, consider subscribing now and click on that notification icon so that you will not miss other awesome content like this. And guys, if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, the link is always in the description below. That will be much appreciated. Thank you very much guys, and I will see you in the next video.